We jump to Beychevelle.
Great.
The Grand Vin.
Perfect.
So here again, we'll do a process starting with the old wine.
Okay.
Old is not that old. For some of the viewers, maybe 11 years or 10 years is very old for a wine. But for us, it's not very old.
Still a baby.
That's the beginning, and even 10 for us is still a little bit young. And then we'll keep going with 15, 16, 17, 18. So it will give you a good view on what we're making today. And that's the idea. So 10, so you're quite a privileged guy because we don't find any bad wine with that. And that's 5 top vintages.
Yes, for sure.
And 10 was when we made it the leader or the best we had ever made. What I discovered when I made 10, that it could be better than 9.
Oh, wow.
When we made 9, I said, oh, 9, that's the best we've ever made. Then 10, oh, shit, it's even better. That was a surprise. Yeah. And it broke all the records. We were high for everything. Wow. High for tannins, high for alcohol, high for acidity, which is very important to have balance, because balance is paramount in the wine. It's no point to be the biggest tannin maker or to be the biggest alcohol maker. It doesn't make, or acidity maker. Mm-hmm. It has no interest. What's important is to be balanced. Yeah. And even if you're on a stool with 3 legs, even if they're long legs, it's still balanced. But if one is shorter than the other, it's disbalanced. And that's what we've got in these wines, and especially with 10, which was a record maker, everything was balanced. It was high tannin, but acidity was high and alcohol was high, so it was very balanced and a lot of potential.
So I see the alcohol level was 14.
Around 14, yeah.
It was a little bit higher than...
It was extremely ripe at the time.
Yeah, interesting. So in the nose, a lot is happening in the nose, huh?
So you've got fruit, dark fruit, cherry, prune. But you've got all these flavors a little bit like what we call soft spices. And maybe Beychevelle, this wine, Beychevelle, is always quite a high level of Merlot. What does that mean for Beychevelle? It means around 45%, basically, on the line, which is high compared with many of our colleagues. Some exception, there are some others doing like that, but very often you've got less than 20 or 25% Merlot, whereas we're about 45. And why? Because the vineyard you visited with Romain, yes. The vineyard has been planted on the best spots there this way with a lot of Merlot. Because in the 80s they decided it was easier to make good Merlot than good Cabernet. Cabernet was more difficult to ripen with Cabernet, and to have a high crop with a good level of ripeness was easier with Merlot. So they planted a lot of Merlot in great places, in great terroir. So they always qualified for Grand Vin. But it enhances the quantity of Merlot in Beychevelle. And when we want to make what we target, which is, let's say, 60%, we need this Merlot.
There's indeed a nice balance between the tannins, acidity.
You feel the acidity as well, which brings freshness. Yes. So here was in 10, was a fraction higher in Merlot. I was very happy to put more Cabernet Sauvignon, not more Merlot, more Cabernet. We went over 50%. It was a good thing for us. But it brings this freshness. You can get this freshness plus tight, very well-knit tannins, dense and present, but elegant and with no astringency.
Very velvety. Very creamy, nice acidity. I love acidity in a wine. It tells me a lot.
It's very important indeed because it brings the freshness. We like the wines which are fresh. Yes. We don't want what some other wine in some other countries call jammy. Oh, yeah. You know, something which is like a cordial. You say cordial, you know, which is a kind of a jam, sweety without acidity. So it's very important acidity because it lifts and it makes the wine long and fine, and that's what we've got here.
And would you say 2010 is in its drinking window, or would you?
We don't drink it yet.
Okay.
We will leave it another year or two before starting drinking.
Interesting.
We pour 09,
Okay.
which is a fraction more approachable, round, very ripe as well, a little bit different style. Acidity is a fraction lower and more approachable than that. And for 10 at the moment, we still wait a little bit.
Wow. Thank you for opening this one.
So we come in something younger. So we are here with wine which, according to us, are still what we call baby wines. So basically okay for tasting, not that okay for drinking. We like drinking Amiral 15, no problem. We don't open Beychevelle 15 for tasting. So 15 was the last vintage we made in the old facility. We were under work when we made the 15, but it was made in the same vats than before. 15 was a year, so far in my working life here, perfect year in the field, in the vineyard is 05. 05 is the best ever growing season that we had. 15 was on track to be as good as 05, except that just at the end, we had a bit of rain and it dashed the hope to be the perfect year. So it's not exactly, but we went to a very good level of maturity, not to say very high level of maturity. The wine is very round, very, very full, very cocoa flavored, very mouthful, and it pleases tasters very much. And very often, you will tell, between 15 and 16, I'd like to hear what you think, what you feel yourself. People feel more comfortable with 15, which is rounder. It's not as precise as 16 can be, but it's very pleasant and round and approachable. Many consumers could drink 15 and being happy with 15.
Yes, I will be happy. Yeah, it's really approachable.
Sorry for the vegetarians or vegans, even more, but with a nice piece of steak, many people would enjoy a glass of 15 and wouldn't complain at all.
It's very juicy.
It is.
Yes. I'm also very curious. 15, 16, which one I would prefer, because it's a very hard question. It's the same question for 9 and 10. Which one do you want?
So it's quite comparable. Yeah. It's quite temptable to make the comparison 9, 10, 15, 16. To make it short and to try to give an answer, 16 would be closer from 10, but here, Yannick, you will have the opportunity in your glass to come back on it and to tell what you think, the way you feel it, and 15 would be closer to 09. Okay. But you will see with 16, you've got tannins which are a little bit firmer, a little bit straighter. We consider that to be nicer, but it's arguable. 15 is a little bit rounder. It's very round, but for us a little bit unprecise, but nevertheless very pleasant, very round. I used to say it's like a bowl of fruit, bowl of tannins. So you've got something which is very round on your palate, but not as precise as 16 can be, and you will get 16 now and you will give me your impression. But I think it's very nice wine, very nice vintage. And there again, something which is important for Beychevelle, it's balanced. You've got freshness and you've got this approachability, elegance, which makes it easy drinking.
Yes, because acidity again is very, very good, fresh.
And dare I say, that's something which is interesting for a taster. You could wonder, how come it's fresh like that, whereas you've got so much Merlot? And I have no answer for that. That's the way it is. Okay. But you could be afraid or wonder why, having 45% Merlot, you don't get something which is a little bit, bit weaker, and you've got this freshness even with 45% Merlot.
Interesting.
So now we'll have 16. So first vintage in the new cellar in the new facility that you visited.
Yes, beautiful.
And then you can compare and you will tell. So here again, I talked about 10 with 16. We climbed a new step. We went a little bit higher with a new tool, and we reached, in my opinion, and Romain's as well, we reached a new level in terms of quality.
Wow, the freshness.
And here again, we had the perfect ripening season, perfect level of ripeness, high level of tannins and alcohol, very ripe, but freshness and acidity, which makes it elegant and keeps the liveliness in the wine. On the other end, for us, that's really, there is no way we can pour that yet.
Yes.
That's wines to be put in the cellar, and they have to be a little bit of patience to let it age and mature and get more complex, because what you gain is complexity.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the person that buys some bottles and opens up every few years to see the evolution. I think that's also interesting to do. But yeah, for sure they need some more time.
So what's important to assess when you taste our wine is to assess the quality of tannins. What is tannin? Great red wines in Bordeaux and in Médoc is great tannins. Yes. That's all the secret. So secret is a terroir, and you can't do much about it. You've got it or you don't got it. That's why there are first growth and second growth and fourth growth and whatever. But then way of extracting it from the fruit means picking at the right time, picking a perfect quality fruit, that's what we get in 16 or 15, and then being able, with the tool that you visited, to extract it the best way, to get the best of it. But without getting too far, to get something what we call over-extraction, which would bring some bitterness, which would bring some astringency, which would bring something which are not fine. What we want is to be fine, elegant, and that's what we think we got here. But here it's a question of appreciation, and I leave it to your appreciation.
If I compare with the 10, yeah, the 16, the 10 is a little bit more sweeter, but it's probably for its age.
You've got probably more sweetness in
yes.
that. Yes, I agree with that.
I really love the tannins in this wine.
Yeah, it's very elegant, very fine, although it's young.
Very smooth, but it's very strange because it's also already very drinkable. But obviously we advise people to let it rest, but I don't know, I'm enjoying the wine. And
you will see when, in a minute, we'll have the 2020 Primeur together with Romain, and you will see the kind of quality silkiness of the tannins, which makes that something a little bit cumbersome. Is we used to say in Bordeaux, and many people think, oh, you have to wait 10 years, 15 years for a Grand Bordeaux. And it's less and less true, because the ripeness of the fruit we get. I used to say, people ask me, oh, what do you change in winemaking between now and the old time? We don't change that much, I say, but what we've got a fruit which is different. Today, and the next step is a risk, is to have a fruit which is overripe. That's the big threat, you know, what we call global warming and the effect of global warming. But so far, we get ripeness that we never reached before. And the quality of the ripeness of the tannins, because we work, when we pick, we decide picking, we focus 100% on the ripeness of the tannins and not the ripeness, the sugar level. We've got a ripeness that never existed before. And although you will see with 2020, the level is higher than ever, reaching highest level ever, you don't feel it. You don't feel it like a punch, you don't feel it like something bitter, you don't feel it like stinging, you feel it like something full and silky, and that's a huge difference. And that poses a question about, is it really necessary to wait for so long? And time will tell. We'll see if the wine, I'm absolutely not concerned the wine can age. but we'll see if it gets more complex and deeper and more interesting, or it's no point and you can drink the wine earlier. But drinking the wine earlier is not a winemaking effect, it's the fruit quality effect.
Fruit quality, okay, thank you.
17?
Yes.
The so challenging vintage.
So challenging.
So for Beychevelle, for example, 17,
Yes.
in terms of ranking, in terms of marks, you know, our wines are rated by many writers, maybe by you one day, or maybe already, I have no idea. But not hundreds, but we're tasted hundreds of times a year, maybe thousands of times a year. And we had, on an average, better marks with 17 than we had on 15. Oh. So that shows the level is very good. So you can be confident the wine is very good. Then you can prefer 16 or 18 or 15. That's one point. But in no way it's a challenging wine or something difficult. No, it's a beautiful wine with a different style than you can get in 16 or 18. You will discover that.
With all the 2017 I've tasted already, all the winemakers proved me wrong with all the information of the critics and the journalists. So yeah, it's very hard to believe what's truth nowadays.
Well, the truth is in the glass.
Yes.
So taste the wines, yeah. And it's true for your viewers. Taste the wine and make your mind. Yeah. Make it as a game, make it as a challenge. Taste yourself. Say what you think, say what you feel. Yes. That's the most important. Yeah.
I'm trying to be Switzerland.
So very nice, elegant nose. With very nice fruit and slight oakiness, slight toast.
It feels very light, huh?
The fruit is denser than what we had in Amiral. Same category, but very elegant, very nice fruit. It's cassis, it's blueberry, it's very dark fruit flavors and cherry. And again, a lot of sweetness. And a very nice grain of tannin. We call that grain of tannins. You know, the tannins are fine, yes. Present, with no bitterness, no astringency, elegant.
And it's just a very nice balance. Yeah, it's a very balanced wine.
But here again, I suppose many people could say, oh, I can drink that, you know, which is not our recommendation, but nevertheless, it's well made enough not to have any characteristics of, you know, astringency, which makes it, oh, you have to wait this wine for many years before it starts to be drinkable. It could be drinkable. I think it would get, again, mellow and get more complexity in a little bit more age.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that love wine so much. They buy en primeur, maybe 2-3 cases of the big wines. They open it up very young and they can't stop opening it because it's already so nice to drink. But I'm talking about the big wines, the strong wines that maybe need 20-30 years to age. But the change of winemaking with what you say with the global warming and the fruitiness, it changed. Yeah, it's very quickly approachable.
So they have to buy 4 cases, yes. not 3.
Yeah, they all tell me it's very expensive for me, that it's very approachable right now.
Maybe the prices are getting higher as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, it's absolutely not underrated vintage. No. It's excellent, it's round, it's fruity, it's very nice. Round, excellent balance. It's just not as big as you will find 18, which is, as I said, as a boxer, it would be a heavy weight, whereas this one is not a heavy weight. But it's a nice boxer as well.
If I can describe the wine in one word, it's balanced. Yes, and with a lot of potential.
So we finished this vertical tasting with 18. Again.
Now you're spoiling me, yeah?
Youngest.
Yes.
And for us, so far, that's the best wine we've ever made. In terms of season, I said 18 was challenging at the beginning, was absolutely wonderful after. We took a lot of time for picking because weather was like that, always nice, no risk of rain. Because you know, when you pick, what is the incidence? What is the fear? The fear is to have the fruit damaged, especially by rain, and rain implies fungus, implies what we call bunch rot, and so you're always afraid, and you live with the apps, the meteo apps, to look at the weather and to guess will it rain. And 18 was absolutely wonderful weather, and we could take all the time we wanted to let it ripen, and we reached level that we never had reached before. So it was absolutely perfect, and for us that's so far the best, and that's the best ratings as well, based notes or marks that we had ever for Beychevelle.
I was lucky enough to taste the 18 with Geraldine in January, and you know you have your special wine moments if you taste a special vintage, and you never forget it. But it's very strange, but when I tasted the 18 I will never forget it. It was a magical moment because I did not see it coming. It was very spontaneously. We were talking about business, and then she told me, she asked me, did you taste the 18 already? I was, no. She get a bottle, and I was like, okay, Beychevelle 18. 2 minutes later, I'm in heaven. I never forgot it. So I tell you, you spoil me with another 18. For me, it's the best Beychevelle I tasted.
Come every so many years to check how it changes. You know, I've got some flavors a little bit different here. Probably a hint of licorice, and probably as well, in my opinion, some floral characters.
Yes, I was thinking the same.
Iris, violet, this type of flavors as well. Not fruit as it was obvious to feel in 17, something denser, darker, and more floral as well.
It brings a smile on my face.
And then you've got on the palate, the mouthful. And again, the question is not to have a lot of tannins, which is not something we like. We don't chase figures, we don't chase kilos, we chase elegance. And here you've got big tannins, but they're fit, you know, they're elegant. That's, you know, just muscle and nothing bad around it.
So I also feel it's in the taste a little bit more alcohol. Yes.
So I think it brings sweetness. It brings the impression of being sweet, nearly sugary, which is obviously, you know, Yannick, no sugar in red wine. But you've got this feeling of sweetness.
Yes.
And a good part of the sweetness comes from the level of alcohol, which is above 14. Of course, one drawback of having, as I told you, high level of Merlot. You know Merlot is alcohol maker. Merlot produces more alcohol. In 18, Bruyère, I told you we were working on producing organic. We reached, on one vat, we reached 16.4. I don't say that as a, wow, we're strong. No, effect of global warming, effect of low yields because of the pressure of the early season, small quantity, huge maturity, 16.4. So the more Merlot you have, the higher it pushes the degree. And we really do as much as we can to lower that and to temper that, because it's no point to be any higher. We don't want to make Bordeaux wine at 16 or 17, by no way. Here, but again, what's important, it was true for 10 that you tasted first, balance is paramount. That means, okay, I've got a lot of alcohol, but with this alcohol I've got a lot of tannins and I've got a lot of acidity. And then it smells, okay, it's balanced. If I were very weak in tannins, I would have something, it would be burning, it would be hot, it would be, ooh, it's like alcohol, it's like a spirit, you have no tannins. As you've got everything, it keeps the balance and it keeps the approachability. But it's very gentle, it's a big wine with a lot of gentleness.
I cannot spit it. It's such a good wine.
You're not driving, are you?
No, I'm staying here.
You're staying here?
We have a lovely dinner at the winery.
Enjoy?
Yeah, for sure. But the one thing I'm noticing at the vertical tasting, and that's why I love doing those tastings, it's the consistency and quality. So, okay, obviously it's every year is different, but the consistency and quality Yeah.
There are two consistency I want to point out, Yannick, if you permit. A, which is basically new in the recent years, quality consistency. That means in the 60s or in the 50s or in whenever, you could have a wonderful vintage. It was 45, it was 61, but then it was a disaster. So Bordeaux was doing highs and ups with something fantastic, 82, but then it was 84 or 87. It doesn't exist anymore. Okay. Then we are like that with top vintages like 18, like 16, but something which is lesser like 17 is just a fraction behind. So that's a consistency of quality. So that's very, very important, consistency in term of quality. But then it's a consistency as well in terms of what we call filiation. That means the wine we make, when you taste several like that, you really feel it belongs to the same family. Yes. You really feel, and when I say family, it means same vineyard, same terroir. It comes from the same place. And when you try, we had one with 5 vintages. Maybe next time you're coming, we'll have 10 or 20. And they will see the line. You will feel we don't betray. We're consistent with what the property, the soil is producing. And that's very, very important. That means the interference of the human being, of the winemaker, of the technique, is not betraying the DNA of the property. So that's another very, very important for us, consistency. So quality, getting better, but consistency on the filiation of the property.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to the next one.
You come again whenever you like.
No, the 18 is great. I love to compare. The 10 is getting sweeter in my nose because of all the other ones.
So if Yannick permits, what we're doing when we're in a tasting room like that, we open from bottles, we pull the cork and pour and taste, which is very analytical, which is very dedicated to the wine quality, but that's not what we're doing when we're around the table, where we open the bottles 1.5, 2 hours before. That would be for the 10, for example. We decant, we let it breathe in a decanter for 1.5 hours before pouring and pairing food. So that's two different approaches, but that's the major approach. That's the most important, because we make wine to pair food and to enjoy with food, and not to be analytical and like a doctor. The doctor are the winemakers. That's when we make the wine. But after that, for consumers, it's pleasure, 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 just enjoyment. And it has to be done with time, nice glasses, and good food.
Correct. So thank you, Philippe, for everything. Thank you for everyone for watching. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your attention. Yeah. Come and visit us as soon as this stupid situation that we all live with at the moment is over, that we all long for. The door is open at Beychevelle. Yannick will give you the address. We'll be delighted to welcome any of you for a visit, for a tasting, maybe for a stay or for a tour organized with Yannick, and we can have dinners together and or replicate this tasting. Everything is possible, and we'll be delighted. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be with you today. And I thank you and your colleague in what you're making and in discovering the wines. So thank you all.
My pleasure.